Yo, 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 welcome to another podcast episode of Fans in Motion. As Andrew would say if he was here, the podcast that you didn't know you needed. So this episode is part 2 of the Ask the Questions to Eric Levy and he shall answer them. We posted this, posted a something on Facebook a few weeks ago on the Fans in Motion page on Facebook where you could type in your question and we asked Eric all of them. There is going to be a part 3. So if you ask questions and they're not on this episode, they will be on the last one. That will be released in 2 weeks from this episode. Other than that, that's all I'm here is to put a little bit of a beginning to the episode. I did not like editing this episode because I had my Bengals jersey on, and it's hard to beat the Chiefs and the NFL and the NFL officiating. So a little painful doing the editing. But anyways, here you go. Part 2 of the Eric Levy episode. Ask the questions and he shall answer. All right. Michelle Webb asked, how come there are no concert dates in Washington State in 2023? Well, Michelle, if you do not know, there has been some legal issues with Levy and the Washington State federal police. I think it was federal charges, right? Not state.
Spread more lies. Isn't YouTube full of lies already?
Michelle, I would just tell you to hang on to your corncob pipe because there may be some dates being announced there or not. Brandon Bergfelt, he wants to know, have you ever met the other man, the myth, the legend, Alan Fitzgerald?
Oh, I have never met Alan. Would absolutely love to, and would, imagine myself being, just being nothing but respectful and showing gratitude of, hey, the last 12 years of my life would never have been possible if you had paved the way, and then decided to leave the band. So yeah, really, it's of the people out there who have had like the most influence over my life that I've never met, he's got to be up, like maybe the top of the list. So, Alan, if you happen to be watching, much respect, much gratitude, and come out anytime, sit in. I'll drink a beer and hang out in the back. But seriously, all respect and gratitude. Seriously, yeah.
Well, I just like when there's an episode out there, if you haven't seen it, where I think we did like you play some of your favorite Fitz riffs.
Oh yeah.
And you do the spooky sounds and Touch of Madness. And when you played, I'm like, oh, I think I always concentrated on Jack. And now when I hear that, it's all I hear.
Yep, there it is.
Oh, we got a snort from Robyn. All right, Lisa, you're up next. We need a snort. Jim Coon, remembering hauling ass back to the hotel to get your in-ear monitors that you forgot. That was right after Todd dressed me down for parking in the wrong spot. I was upset. You were awesome. Great memory for me. Probably not so much for you. Thanks, Eric.
I do remember that because I want to say there's only been one time. Oh, and I felt terrible. We're talking about, it was Colorado, right? I want to say.
I think Jim's in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah, and we and yeah, Todd did. Todd was angry about the parking. But I remember we were like pulling back in and we got into like this altercation with these like people going to the liquor store, and like they wouldn't back up their car and we wouldn't back. Oh, and it turned into like a whole thing. But it turned out they weren't even there for the concert. They were just trying to go to the liquor store. That's that's my pervading memory of that. But yeah, super kind of you. I remember just the disbelief I felt when we arrived on property, and I'm like, oh, I don't have my ears. So thank you so much for saving me on that occasion, getting me back and forth.
Andy Rock Levedo. I think he might be just a tad bit confused with the difference between Eric Levy and Fitz, even though, the band has made you perform on stage as a Fitz clone, as it's been alleged. But he wants to know, do you remember the morning of American Bandstand, the first time I seen and heard Night Ranger? Remember you guys played Don't Tell Me You Love Me? But didn't you guys play 2 songs? If so, what was it? I'll never forget that moment. Well, you did forget some of it. Because you don't remember the second song. But I think, Andy, someone can leave a comment. I know someone knows, but if I remember correctly, the clip is on YouTube, but the songs aren't, for probably copyright reasons. But that would have probably been sometime in '83. And even though you weren't with the band, what were you doing that morning? Were you eating Captain Crunch, Fruity Pebbles?
1983. I was 8 years old.
Oh, Lisa's got a good Wing Chun.
Know what I was doing? Yeah, getting ready for multiplication tables or something. Yeah.
There's my question. What was your cereal of choice back then?
Cereal of choice. Oh,
or was that was that secular and it was just like Quaker Oats or some shit?
Oh, like cereal was of the devil and off limits. No, I've always had a thing for Cinnamon Life. Like, that's just good stuff. Cinnamon Life cereal. Yeah.
All right. It's not Fruity Pebbles. I think Fruity Pebbles was the correct answer. But,
that was a correct. Okay.
Yeah.
It was that kind of question.
Yeah. So at 8 years old, you were already making bad decisions. Sue Frasick. She wants to know, do you have any plans on releasing an album of your original material? The things you shared on social media is absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure she's talking about Raccoon Fornications parts 1 through 52. Now, Eric, do you remember when I think we were in Wisconsin or something? And I pulled up and I was blaring. What was I blaring?
Oh, yeah. So it's just after I spoke to Alan Hertz for 2 hours last night, and we were talking about that album. He, I have a full album in the can that I've never released. I have to. The amount of work that Alan put into it, both playing drums and producing and mixing and. And the bass player killed it too. This guy, Garrett Sayers, actually from Colorado, plays with a band called the Motet. For his benefit too. It's terrible that I never released it. I will give you my short little soapbox talk about the reason why I feel more compelled these days to focus on putting jams on social media than releasing an album. And it's like, so first of all, okay, like streaming music these days, anybody who creates a new album is competing for listening time with not just other new releases, but like the entire recorded history of music, which is available to people on their streaming services. And then the amount of hours that are like, I can't remember the statistic of like the amount of hours that are uploaded to Spotify like daily, and then seeing charts about how the payouts to individual like independent musicians from Spotify, Apple Music have been going down. it's I think the record companies are doing okay, but it's the the people who are getting less and less money for it are the individual artists. So it's, in a way, I'm feeling like, why even bother playing that game that everybody else is playing? It's I can wake up in the morning and I can choose the minute or so of a jam that I want to post, if I want to post that day. And it's I don't know. I don't want to play the game that's being played right now in the music industry. I don't think it would really serve me very well. That's not to say that I shouldn't have. It's a cop out, because I should have released this album already, and I will, or I should, or yeah. I hope I will. I hope my future self decides to do it.
We need to just print up 500 copies on vinyl. You sign them. Maybe we put an Eric Levy guitar pick with the album cover or something cool in there as well. And you just do it on vinyl, man. And once everybody buys that, a year later, you put it on CD with a couple track or two that you didn't put on there, and maybe a bonus disc of the the Raccoon Opera. And
I think you might be onto something. I had never considered that idea. Like why even start with streaming? Just start with vinyl.
Well, eventually, I think with streaming, you may gain people who are not in the Eric Levy, universe. But right off, the people that are going to be, buying this is your fans from Night Ranger, Garage Mahal to an extent, and your mom. And so
I'll have to send her a free copy. I can let her pay for it. I thank you, and thank you very much. Sorry, continue if you would.
But yeah, but I've heard the record. It's kind of it's a little bit more structured than what you put on Facebook, because you're breaking it into increments where these can be anywhere from probably 5 to 7, 8 minutes long. And you got stuff that's, I don't know, a little bit progressive, I guess, and then you got a little stuff that's more traditional, where you could see it, putting lyrics on it, and maybe it's a Night Ranger or Christopher Cross song or something like that. It's where it's just like traditional, piano and stuff like that. And then, you got something that sounds, out there, like a fucking alien getting jacked off or something. I don't know, but it's crazy.
I wouldn't. That sounds like.
Yeah, huh?
Josh apparently does.
Listen, if you've ever driven through Utah at night, you'll know what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is, like, it's your progressive stuff that's really out there. And then, like, the next track is, like I said, like traditional, like ballad, like I can see you playing like at a restaurant, like a fancy place. And then the next one is
done a lot of those gigs.
Yeah. And then the next then the next one is you're out there a little bit, kind of like some of the stuff you do on your YouTube stuff. So I definitely think you need to get it out there.
It's your encouragement and support, and for the question as well. And it's just gratitude and thanks. And
well, here's what you need to do. You guys need to go on Eric's musician page, make sure you click follow, like, and you need to pester him saying, hey, where is Eric Levy's new record, Alien Jack Off? We want that record, and we demand it.
I retitle it just for you. Yeah.
It's like the album cover. I can see it right now. There's like a CD alien behind a dumpster, and they like the ship's up there, and you see the cops pulling up, and so
you got your
Alien
album art
Adventures
already.
as told by Josh.
Does indecent exposure apply to aliens? Really? I mean, it doesn't apply to like cats and dogs. I guess it depends on what the aliens look like.
Yeah. Well, whatever they look like, I've probably fucked worse. So William Wasco. I feel like Elmer Fudd there. William WASCO. So William.
How do you say Queensryche, Josh?
Well, Queensryche was just, trying to talk too much. I can say Queensryche. But he wants to know, what music do you enjoy that would be considered very different than Night Ranger? My favorite album that's different than Night Ranger is Eric Levy's Alien Jackoff record, released in 2024. But you talk some of what
coming at us from the future.
I know you mentioned Chick Corea and some of those guys. What's some other stuff that's way out? If Night Ranger's one end of the spectrum, what's the other end?
Oh, I do listen to probably more jazz than anything, but not exclusively. Like I try to pay attention to the first 5-10 minutes of my day, because it's always interesting. I don't know what random song's gonna pop into my head that maybe I haven't heard in 20 years, and where did that come from? That doesn't answer the question at all. But I do I do enjoy just music is music. I love I can think of something obscure. Was that thing I was playing for you the other night, Josh, the Shiva Raman. He's this Indian percussionist.
Oh, is that?
And it's deep. It's super deep.
Fucking, I don't know if deep's the right word, but is that the one where he's doing the like all the time signatures or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I was making you listen to. Yeah, that right.
Yeah.
Oh, that dude is just such a beast.
We'll have to put a link in the comments or something so everybody else can enjoy that. But who was the guy from Oklahoma you said you were just listening to?
Oh, Zach Bryan. I wasn't familiar with him, and oh man, I'm just I can't think.
Who was the other guy we were talking about one time? You sent me Billy Strings, or what the hell is his name? Kind of country.
Chris Stapleton.
No, not. Is it Billy Strings or something like that?
I'm familiar with him, but I haven't really. Oh, maybe I did. Maybe I did send you a Billy Strings thing.
I think, I don't know. I could be wrong.
Up in my feed. I haven't listened to him a bunch, but from what I've heard, sounds great.
So there you go.
I love bluegrass. Bluegrass is,
I think that was it. So
bluegrass is stuff.
So William, if you want to, there you go. You got the guy from Oklahoma, and go check out Chick Corea, because I know that's Eric's guy as well. Matthew Konzka, something like that. Konieczka. Do you do side projects outside of Night Ranger? And of course, we know what album he's wanting to know about. Alien?
Do we?
So, well, the side projects, there's one I know that you do a lot with. I know you've made maybe a couple posts. I don't, can you mention that?
Oh, that's a great question. I would love to, but I want to give this artist the ability to truly release on his own terms. That being said, the timeline we're looking at right now is album release in May, and was just over there today. We got loaned a couple of Pultec mastering EQs to run our mix bus through from the same gentleman who lent us a SSL G bus compressor. So this is probably flying over most people's heads. I'm being non-specific because I just want to give him the opportunity to present this the way that he wants to present it. But I'm super psyched, and we've been working on this I've been working on this now with him for over a decade. So super psyched.
That's cool. That's cool. That's going to be
more to
May.
announce.
Yeah. So hey, you don't have very long to wait for that answer, and I think some of you are going to be really excited. So and I guess what other side projects? I know we got Under the Street Lamp.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
those guys, the greatest. Yeah.
That's
my Chicago connection too, because living in California for the last 2 decades, that's an all Chicago band.
Under the Street Lamp was it's the guys from Jersey Boys, right?
That's the guys who started it, but at this point it's just whatever, all 4 singers are there.
But that's that same type of show, and you get to hear all those 50s, 60s, early 70s, radio classics. What shows?
And you were there, actually have seen Street Lamp in person?
I did. I went up to where the hell did I? Wisconsin. We were only like a block away from Jeffrey Dahmer's place. I didn't know.
Wow.
I knew that he was up at that university, but I didn't know exactly where. And once that show came out, I kind of did a little look, and I'm like, we could have threw a couple rocks and went over there. But so Under the Street Lamp, it was
Especially for you guys.
I have to stay on the bucket list.
I'm okay.
But yeah, it was fun. It was all those great doo-wop songs and all those other radio classics from the 60s and 50s. And Eric's over there. It's a different Eric too, because he's got kind of like the suit on and like a nice hat, and he doesn't have the bandana and the Night Ranger garb, and he's up there playing some piano there, and we had a lot of beers afterwards, and
Did you?
so it was
those guys are the greatest. They really are. But it's other than that, I've been playing here and there with a group out here called the Left Hand Monkey Wrench Gang, and we just played Sunday night over in Sebastopol. I'm going to be with them sometime next month, playing at Sweetwater Music Hall in Mill Valley. But that's all just Grateful Dead covers, and every time we do it, the band is different. It's always different players. So the Sunday night's band, the drummer and bass player both are play with Jerry Garcia band. So fortunately, they knew the songs really well. And I was still trying. It was my first time ever trying to play Terrapin Station by the Grateful Dead, which I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. It's like this epic, I was listening to it like over and over and over and over all day. I can't mess this up, but this song is crazy, and it's like new section and then other crazy. And how do you count this? And so relying on the guys from like the actual Jerry Garcia band, and all right, they're there, they'll hold it down. I can just kind of jam over the top of it and be all right. And now I can't get that song out of my head, like every day now since Sunday, just nonstop Terrapin Station, Grateful Dead.
There was a time and place, if you wade through the smoke, that the band or the crowd wouldn't know if they fucked up. Oh, how the times are changing in the Grateful Dead bands. Now, do you guys ever have like an East Coast, West Coast thing? Like, how you got, left hand Monkey Wrench band, like does like the right hand Monkey Wrench band? Like, you guys ever have like
that's the East Coast version?
Like,
I have no idea where that name even comes from, but I know that in the Bay Area it's amazing. It's because the Grateful Dead are a Bay Area band, but every night of the week there's got to be a live venue somewhere in the Bay Area where you can hear a band playing Grateful Dead songs. It's like so pervasive out here. There's so many musicians who it's like that's really just what they do. It's like is playing bands that play Grateful Dead songs. I know that there's some touring bands that are able to do it. Dark Star Orchestra has been doing it for a long time. And Joe Russo's Almost Dead. Haven't seen them, but heard great things about them. So yeah, it really is a ongoing phenomenon.
Now, to be the part of Jerry Garcia in a Grateful Dead tribute band, do you have to have diabetes?
I don't know if that's a prerequisite, although certainly the whole skinny guitar player thing doesn't really seem to be a thing.
Well, if you're going to be Bob Weir, Bob
Weir's in great shape. Yeah. He is. Well,
it's been said that you are the Tupac of the Left Hand Monkey Wrench band. So hopefully I don't get gunned down. Yeah, no. Hopefully the Biggie of the Right Hand Monkey Wrench band, you guys don't start capping each other.
That'd be for the best.
Yeah. Anna Frank Johnson. How do you push through during a long tour when your energy is low and you just want to be home again? Well, my answer would be, I would think, if I was Eric, is when it's a long tour and you think about home, you think about dirty diapers and the honey-do list that the wife gives you, and you're like, hey, let's add some dates to this tour. Eric, how do you push through when you're just wanting to all end and get back home?
Wow. I actually genuinely love playing music. It's, and especially getting up on stage with Night Ranger. I mean, it's always high energy. It's always fun. So certainly there's times where I'll be tired and be like, oh, it'll be good to get home in a couple days. But what I try and do is just wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, just try and be present with that. That's my response to it. So like there are definitely times where it's the other way around too, where I'm changing a dirty diaper at home, being like, when does that Mardi Gras tour start? But I feel like I keep most sane if just wherever I am, that's where I try to be. So it's like if that thought comes into my head, I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm hanging with my 3-year-old son who, he won't be in diapers forever, and this is my moment to be here for him. But then conversely on the road, it's like, I'll miss the kids, but it's like, hey, I love doing this. I absolutely love it. And even the days where I wake up and I'm like, I don't know if I'm in such an adventurous mood today. It might be nice to just chill. I always feel like it's a good thing for me to get out and keep adventure in my life.
Or the short answer would be Coquiana, man. All right. That's how I push through. I'm tired. The next thing I know, I'm on a 36-hour bender. How long did it? This is from Gail Roman, the infamous Gail Roman. How long did it take for you to feel like a true member of Night Ranger?
You know what? I'm not going to say this to blow smoke up Josh's ass or anything, but I think in a lot of ways I didn't really truly feel like I was anything but the temporary keyboardist du jour until Fans in Motion, and until I started interacting directly, and realizing like, wow, this is really amazing. It reminds me of when I first joined the band, and Joel Hoekstra telling me he's like, there's going to be some people who like give you dirty looks and scowl at you and act kind of rude, and it's not that they don't like you, it's just that they liked Christian and they maybe don't know why he's not here. And so I tried to to keep that with me too. But yeah, just that, man, just and being able to be a part of something like this, and Fans in Motion has really just revolutionized the experience for all the shows. Going from just random people to all of a sudden like this codified thing in this community that you all have built. It's that does more to make me feel like I'm an accepted member of this band than anything has.
I think if we were off air, the answer he would give would be, I truly felt like a true member of Night Ranger when Brad threw a bottle of brown liquor at me. Since then, we're not allowed to have it on the rider.
That would make a good origin story.
Yeah,
like we had brown liquor until Brad threw it at Eric.
Well, listen,
conspiracy now.
Like I said, the best stories are the ones that never happened. But yeah, I mean, I think what you said is you entered the Night Ranger, the era of Night Ranger where it really was like a rebirth. The decade before, there wasn't as many shows. There was no studio albums except for Hole in the Sun, which wasn't, I think, what a lot of fans wanted. And right when you joined, it coincided with this rebirth with these great studio albums and the acoustic record and the live record, and you're obviously easily accessible to the fans, and you're great with them, which I've told all the guys that straight up to Jack, I'm like, listen, I know he can piss you off sometimes, and he can't hold his liquor, but Eric is a great ambassador to the band. And I think they know. I mean, especially when you have, you're the right personality to be in that band.
Oh, God, thanks.
That's as far as I'll go. So it works, and and I know all the fans who are still fans of this band really appreciate you. Lisa, do you appreciate Eric?
I absolutely do.
So yeah, man, it's we appreciate you being in the band and helping carry on that tradition that Fitz started. And someday they will sing songs about the time that you really felt like an official member of Night Ranger when that bottle of brown booze smashed across the side of your head, and the tour manager was like, "No more brown liquor, no more." And Brad's like, "You don't tell me what to do." All right. Gail also wants to know, are you naturally shy, or do you feel like fans are not really interested in you? And she continues, "We are very interested in meeting and talking, but I waited for you in St. Augustine, and you're the last to come out and seem surprised that I wanted you to sign my shirt." So are you naturally a shy person, or is it do you feel like kind of what you were saying, maybe before Fans in Motion and stuff, maybe you didn't feel like the fans were interested in you, so
I always presume, I guess, that like any long-term fans of the band, it's like it's really about Jack and Kelly and Brad, and the legacy that they've built. So maybe if that was my surprise, but that being said, I am naturally shy. Well, I don't know. Am I still? Yeah, I guess I am, because it's as long as I have that keyboard in front of me, then I'm good.
Yeah,
but
we're gonna get that guitar, break you out.
There's I'm not much for like pop psychology or anything, but there's the YouTube algorithm like figured me out at some point and started sending me videos about Sigma males and what's a Sigma male. So if you've ever seen anything like that, I think, you know, if I have a personality type, I'm probably a Sigma personality type, introverted. Yeah.
Well, that probably suits you well for being on stage in front of 1,000 people every night and the spotlight on you.
But but that's fun. That's almost like playing a role though too. Yeah, it's fun.
And I do think I tell people it's weird, you know, just knowing you now and everything, and it's like, you know, we'll hang before a show or whatever after a show, and it's like this, and then, you know, before the you know, right before the show, you come out in your, you know, your war outfit, and it's almost like I don't know this dude, you know, like
well, I can attest whenever I would sing, like the more people there were, the less stage fright I would have. Like if there was 5 people just staring at me, like it would make my nerves 10 times worse.
That makes sense. Yeah, because it's when there's only a few people, it's like you're making eye contact with all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas if it's
you know, all
people,
of them
then they're
see
just
all of your every move.
Gail also wants to know, how has touring with Night Ranger affected you and your style of keyboard playing? That's a good question.
Oh, style of I feel like so okay, how do I make this not into a long diatribe? But keyboards are a percussion instrument, and it's no, that's not the right way to say. Okay, here's the right way. So Jeff Watson famously 8-finger technique on the guitar, right, where it's or however it looks, and it's almost like a pianistic kind of way to play the guitar, to play with the finger tapping style. And it was when I started learning Alan Fitzgerald's parts and realizing like these are like, some of these things are nothing like any other rock keyboard part I've ever encountered, and it's things that could only really be played if you're playing like different fingers with different hands at different times. And it's, you know, way more of like that 8-finger kind of technique. And then at some point in time I think Brad might have told me that Jeff Watson had been inspired by keyboard players to come up with the technique that the way that he did. So I feel like there's some thread that happened in there between Jeff Watson and Fitz, where then by the time I inherited this material and started shedding it and learning how to play it, it's to a certain extent I had been trying to like work on my independence and 10-finger playing, I guess. I'll share one more thing to make it a longer diatribe, I guess. But and this will tell you how like nerdy introverted I am too. So at some point years ago, I was researching hard drives for my computer setup, and the hard drives have something called a RAID configuration, RAID, that you can do, where you can just take any hard drives and like kind of combine them, and depending on how you can combine them, it doesn't only give more storage space, it'll actually make that faster, make that connection faster. And sounds kind of weird, right? But I read something as I was researching that made it click for me. And it was somebody saying, imagine you're doing laundry and you're only using one hand, as opposed to using 2 hands when you're doing laundry, and how much more quickly will that process go if you're not just with the same hand trying to do it all. And that flashed me back to when I was a kid studying with my dad. My dad was a saxophone player, and he was I was always trying to play like as fast as he could, and always struggling to like, how can I play faster, to play as fast as he does. And I remember even like asking him point blank one day, like, why can you play faster than me still? And he said, because I play saxophone and you play piano, and you can just play saxophone faster than you can play piano. And I just like accepted that as truth until this like realization hit me as I was researching hard drives, that like, wait a second, the reason why, if this is all true, this RAID stuff, and it applies to like hands, and if I pretend that my two hands are both two hard drives, then not only will I get 10 fingers, double the fingers if I use all 10 fingers for playing melodies and soloistic lines, but also I'll be able to play faster in theory. And that's why my dad could play faster than me, because on saxophone, that is how you're playing. You've got, but it looks like this, but it's all 10 fingers, interacting and all contributing to one note at a time melodies. So it's at that point, I never would have gone so deep down this rabbit hole if it hadn't been for the direction that Fitz's parts had put me on. But yeah, once I got to that point, then I was like, okay, I have to see if I can prove this theory true or hypothesis or whatever. And that's still like my passion today. I'm sitting there on the airplanes practicing, like trying to be, like nice to my neighbors, keeping my arms crossed like this, but I'm like, trying to make good use of travel time. But yeah, that whole course of things never would have happened without Fitz and Jeff Watson, really.
Do you think Fitz, because we had talked to David Lauser before, and Lauser was in bands with Fitz back in the early 70s, mid 70s, and he said as good as Fitz was on keyboards, he was an even better bassist, which he was. He was a bass player in Montrose with Sammy Hagar. So you have that, and if I remember correctly, Jeff said in an interview one time, and I'm pretty sure it was Jeff saying this, but that they were, and he said the song, so Young Girl in Love, or it was something like that. It was one of the non-hits from Dawn Patrol. They were working on that song, and Fitz was having some issues with like getting the keyboard part what he wanted, and I think then Jeff was like, well, let me see if I can do it on guitar, and that's kind of where that he started getting that 8-finger technique. So it would have been something like At Night She Sleeps or Young Girl in Love, something like that. It was one of those type songs, and but he said then after trying to do that, then it opened up, oh, I can do more with this.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. That's really cool.
And the interview, if he said that in that I watched, isn't all that old. It'd probably be within the last 5 years, and he was in his house when he did it. Patrick Fitzgerald, no relation to Alan. How do you feel about keyboards that were such a big part of the Night Ranger sound to now somewhat taking a back seat or hardly being used? By the way, you're such an awesome keyboardist. He thinks that you are not utilized the way you should be. I somewhat disagree with maybe some of the new songs. I guess we could always use more those keys, but I mean, I think you're on the classic songs. I mean, you're still doing all those classic Fitz riffs.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pat. That's very kind of you. And yeah, it's it is something I come across where when I'm trying to come up with parts, I am always trying to think, like what are the classic keyboard instrumentations and what are the classic kind of keyboard lines, and trying to make anything that grow out of that. But there have been times where on the new album we had that So Hard to Make It Easy song, and Jack's hit me up like, hey, you can play even more, because I made like a kind of safe version of it and sent off the tracks to him. He's like, you can go for it even more, just go for it. And I think the next time that I saw him and Kelly, we were talking about it, and I was like, it was really, really fun to play that way on the album. It's, I never would have thought to do that just because that was never part of the classic sound. To which Kelly told me, we didn't have you in the band back then, and if we had you in the band back then, we might have known you could play this way and asked you to do it. So yeah, it's I try and always balance that line as far as like how I'm being used in the band, really, as long as truly as long as Jack, Brad, and Kelly are happy with what I'm doing, that's really, to me, that's really the only important thing.
Mhm.
Hopefully they still are.
Well, I think you're okay. I mean, especially after firing, Jack a couple years ago, and
I still hear that. I still hear about that one.
and
Why'd you have to fire?
we didn't
I
publicize
wasn't
it.
pulling my weight.
We didn't publicize it as much, but then firing Brad last year. Who's on the chopping block this year? Stay tuned. Kathy Stewart Walquist. She wants to know, what is your favorite fan moment?
Oh, I don't know if this counts as a fan moment, but the first time we played in Chicago after I had joined Night Ranger was playing at the I don't know what they call it these days. It used to be called the World Theater or World Amphitheater out in Tinley Park, Illinois, which is where, when I was a kid, I went and saw Metallica and Rush and Genesis, and here I am, like, okay, first show with Night Ranger in Chicago, and it's there on that stage, and so I was psyched. I had butterflies. It was an amazing night, and so after we were done playing it, I was hanging with the family who were there, and before getting back on the tour bus, Todd pulled me aside. He was like, so we've got these like hardened Chicago union guys, or Chicago's known for their tough union guys, but these guys were happy to hear that you're one of their own, and they're wondering if you would sign this drum head for them. So that was, maybe the most meaningful thing I've ever signed, just because the circumstances around it. It felt really special.
I always like the story of when, I think, like, the first show you played, you were at a casino, and maybe you went outside to put stuff away, and you came back in.
That was my first show with the band. Yeah, we were in Thunder Valley Casino, just outside of Sacramento. So for me, it was like a 2.5 hour drive. It kind of just felt like just going out and playing another local gig almost. Except of course it wasn't. It was my first Night Ranger show, and little did I have any idea, really. But after the show, one of the crew guys texted, and he's like, "Hey, I hear you're hitting the road and going back home, but we're over in the restaurant if you want to come and join us for a meal before you head out." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll do that." So I parked the car and I walked back inside and just kind of like walked in and looking around, like, okay, where's this diner at? And then like a couple people walked up and they're like, "Hey, great show," and thanks. And another couple people, "Hey, great show, and can we get a picture?" And so before I knew it, I like realized that I was completely encircled, like completely surrounded. But everywhere I looked, like everybody was smiling. So it felt good and positive, but it was like, wow, I've never experienced anything remotely like this in my, where am I? And that's when a security guard walked over and asked me if I needed an escort, and I said, I guess so. And thanked everybody and went off and ate. Yeah, that was a real eye-opener. Like, whoa, okay, that Garage Mahal days, that was not a potential thing.
How the times are changed now. Personal security is in his rider. You doing okay time-wise, Eric?
Oh yeah, doing good.
All right.
You hear the crying baby in the background?
That's all. It's all right. It's all right. Tamara Martinez, she wants to know, what is the best and the worst part of touring?
Oh, the best part for me is the music, is the moments when we're actually like on, when the music's hitting, there's just nothing like that feeling, getting into the flow state And yeah, to me, that's the best part. The worst part, when an airline loses your luggage, maybe those aren't fun times.
That's when they like, all right, you're gonna have to dig through one of the other guy's locker and find something to wear, and next thing you know, Eric comes out in the bumblebee outfit.
I'm too big to fit in any of those dudes' clothes.
Or Kelly's pajamas.
Yeah.
Kelly's pajamas.
Yeah, Kelly. Hey, he said that those he said he wish he could still wear them. They're comfortable. But
they look comfortable.
Really, it wouldn't be that hard. As long you gotta do is find a thrift store, right? Every city's got one, and you go in there and you get a used pair of scrubs for $5, and you're just fits from the Midnight Madness cover. So
that's something I've yet to do, is the full-on scrubs. It has been suggested.
I'm telling you, you need to do it.
Midnight Madness tour.
Yeah. Christy Casey Orman, she would like to know, I really enjoyed you going live on Facebook during the COVID shutdown. You'd play different tunes and acknowledge those who were tuning in. Do you ever plan to do that again? So, I mean, I know you have been. Have you kind of taken a break from that over the last week or so?
Oh yeah, it's thank you so much for tuning into those lives. That was something that was really short. I guess, yeah, once, like when the pandemic hit, I was like, well, hey, I've got this studio at home full of keyboards. I should just start going live and doing that. And got my computer configured and everything working well enough, but it was I was still working through the bugs. But yeah, I did do a handful of and it was really fun, yeah, being able to like be playing live and read people's comments and, oh sure, okay, yeah, we can. That was actually really fun. Now that you mention it, maybe it'd be cool to do again. The reason why I stopped doing it and didn't continue is because I was gifted, man, what a nice gift that was. I was gifted a Mac Pro computer from the same album that'll be coming out in May from that gentleman, when he replaced his studio computer, and so then I reconfigured everything at home. I had just been running everything off my laptop, but all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to have like a home studio computer, and that's completely revolutionized what I'm able to do with my jams in general. But I just when that point happened in the transition over to it, I just never got I had aspirations of getting the live thing set up with the new configuration, but I guess I never got to it. But thank you, and now that I talk about it, I did enjoy doing it.
Ron Crockett, no relation to Davey that we're told. When you're singing on stage, your microphone always appears to be way too high. That's not the only thing that's high. It's like you're always stretching to sing into it. Is there a reason behind that? So why are you doing the Lemmy mic, man?
Oh, usually just because I'm like too passive to tell anybody that it's too high, and so I'm just oh, it's close enough. And also the assumption that of the five of us, my mic is probably like the least in the mix. So what does it really matter if it's, a little distant? But it's our wonderful lighting director, Steve Koken, who sets the keyboards up, and then goes and runs all the lights and makes everything look incredible. So I guess he's the one I should talk to one of these days. Next time I notice it's too high, I'll remember. Oh yeah, I should say something.
And I hope my Bengals beat Steve's Chiefs this when this is released, we'll know.
I'm looking forward to that game.
uh, uh, I don't know how to say that name. Bienda Javier. Some of these questions we already know. Who was your biggest influence? He wants to know, would you make a solo album? We've already talked about Alien Jackoff. What do you think of Derek Sherinian, musically speaking, of course?
I have not come across Derek or met Derek, but I know we have a shared connection with Brad Gillis, who Brad has talked about kind of helping Derek get his start back when he did. And I know Derek, I want to say, is from like Santa Cruz Bay Area. So yeah, we haven't crossed paths, but certainly very talented, no question.
Yeah, he's talked about that in some interviews. I know he mentions how they met, but he had, was not known at all. And his first gig was, it was right after Night Ranger broke up. So this would have been like 89. I don't know if he was in Mega, around in that time, but he talked about it being kind of 80s rock and stuff like that. But yeah, he mentions Brad's the one who gave him his start, and he plays on Gill Rock Ranch, a lot of that record. And I'm pretty sure he plays keys on the album that Brad's putting together now. So they're still, doing stuff together. For those that don't know, Sherinian was with Dream Theater for a while. He's currently with Sons of Apollo, which is like Billy Sheehan, Mike Portnoy, maybe Jeff Scott Soto, something like that.
It looks like a cool band. Very, very much so.
I saw him. He was playing keyboards with Yngwie on Unleashing the Fury. So, but he's played with a lot of...
Got a serious chops to keep up with that music. Yeah.
What song would you like to do? Is there a song out there that you would like to do, but Night Ranger has not done or just said no?
I think it would be cool to play Restless Kind at some point. I don't know if it'll ever. I was told straight up it'll never happen. But if there's anyone, I think that'd be a cool one.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a time when I don't think we ever thought we would hear Reason to Be played. So
ooh, that's fun. That's one of my favorite Night Ranger tunes. That one is really inspired.
I mean, I figured with the law of averages, the more I'm around you guys, the more comfortable you're going to get, and the more you're going to slip up, and I'm going to get blackmail. And and it's going to be like,
there's Josh's end game.
Hey, don't make me call her. I'll either you start hitting the fucking chords, the Restless Kind, or I start typing in some phone numbers. The next thing you know, we're getting that full fucking Man in Motion record played. Let's see here. Dave Nadalman, a longtime listener and a longtime caller. He wants to know, what are your top 3 jazz records?
Ooh, wow, top 3 off the top of my head. Do compilations count?
Sure.
I'll stick to traditional albums. John Coltrane, Giant Steps. Chick Corea, Now He Sings, Now He Sobs, and Keith Jarrett, My Song. Go with. Oh, but it's like 5 seconds later, I'll be like, no, I've got a better list. But that's the list I came up with in the moment.
I thought you would do what's the big Chick Corea record? The blue album cover.
Oh, Light as a Feather. You're right. Light as a Feather. Why did I say Now He Sings, Now He Sobs? Yeah, that's the one right there. Oh, you know what a dark horse one is? That most jazz pianists don't even know about this dude.
Loverboy.
Dave Frischberg, and he was like I think because he was LA, but he's from New York, and anyway. I can't get enough of listening to him play, and like I'll periodically just put on his one of his albums and immediately just I think if I was Desert Island, I would have to have some Dave Frischberg with me too.
There you go, Nadalman. I want you to purchase all 3 of those records, and I want photos of them, and I want.
Or you can stream them.
No. We don't stream jazz. We purchase the nice warm vinyl. Emily Medler wants to know, what's your favorite song to do keyboards on? I guess we'll stick in the Night Ranger world there. What songs do you like to tickle the ivories? I think you said Sister Christian earlier. Call My Name. Let's just throw out one more. What's one that you if your buddies come to see you, you're like, hey, don't go piss during this.
Oh, let's see. I'm like looking through my patches here. Rumors in the Air is always fun. That's a good, because I get to do the I get to do that part.
Now see Lisa.
That's the Metroid riff.
Lisa, Robyn, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Very.
We need to hear that more when we go.
Right on.
Like I said, Robyn or Lisa, eventually we'll get them to do what we want. I think the first thing I gotta do is I gotta magically start getting brown liquor to appear backstage.
If anybody can do it, I trust it's you.
I'll walk in like Barney. Hey, guys.
And then Jack will never talk to you again, and it'll be my fault.
It'll be all right. Well, I just gotta get that blackmail. Like, talk to me, Jack.
I love Josh's voice for himself.